There we go.
There
What's
we
up,
go.
My fellow lure makers.
How's it going? What's up? How's it going?
I have so many questions for you because I'm still a novice. I'm still pretty new to all this. To where it's like I'm just like, all right, any chance I get, I'm like, all right. So where do you get your supplies? What do you pour? So it's always fun for me to pick you guys' brain.
It's a pleasure to see. It's a pleasure to see you again, man. We met you at the PCS show. It was pretty cool. You know, you were almost cleared out. We kind of got some of the last of your stuff.
I think we got the last.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we did.
Well, you know.
And now we're here.
Thanks for inviting me. I've never done anything like this before. I'm kind of tech unsavvy, so I didn't know how to do it or what to do. So I just fucking went live. I didn't know what to do. So here we are. Now I'm glad you guys. I'm glad you guys got the lead.
That's all right. We worked it all out. I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna log off and go find him.
Okay. Can you see their comments?
But yeah,
Mike?
I can see comments. What's up, big time fishing?
Yeah, so just somebody.
Yeah, I can.
Delia asked if you could see the comments.
Let me get my bifocals.
So just so you know, Daniel with the respirator, he makes baits. Me and Charlie, we don't make baits. We're bait connoisseurs.
Right on. Reebs Lures, one of the OGs.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
We're
Thank
bait
you,
addicts.
guys. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So when did you start pouring your own plastics? And not necessarily you jumping into a business, unless you went like, all right, I'm going to just head first.
It's a long story. I mean, it's not that long. I can make it short, but yeah, that's right on.
I'm
right on.
here.
No,
I'm here to listen.
My parents used to drop me off at Lake Hodges and go to work for 12 hours, and I couldn't afford baits. Couldn't afford to buy them. I just didn't have any money. I was 13 years old, so they would drop me off, and I would go pick up baits off the shore and shore pound the Hernandez Hideaway section all the way to the dam and just pick up old baits. But then they would tear after a bite, and I just would, you know, that's how I started fishing, and I just decided that I melt them down and put them into something that looks like a worm. So this was before the times of YouTube.
Right.
So there was just self-learning. There was no way for me to research how to make chocolate neon worm for Lake Hodges. It just didn't work. So I had to kind of do trial and error lures, and that was at 13. It was raw, and it wasn't really, I mean, the baits that I made were actually terrible, but I still got bit on them. And that's what was cool.
So did you make a mold?
Bro, I made them out of tinfoil. Dude, I put a pencil and a piece of tinfoil and cut it and make it so it would hold plastic, and I would re-pour it in there. And that's got a worm.
So
I got a little worm.
But I want to commend that.
What is it? The Cinco is just a Bic pin, right?
Yeah.
The Cinco, I believe, is just based off a pin.
There didn't take much to form a. Oh, cheers! What is that? A cop? What are you drinking there? Oh, okay.
Water.
Raspberry and vodka.
I just have hot plastic.
Daniel's pouring a hot glass of hot plastic.
Cheers to that.
Seriously. So I want to commemorate the
You missed it, Daniel. He just showed you a hot glass,
Nice.
a hot
Cheers
melted
to
glass.
Cheers. There we go.
All my plastics in solid form.
So
I'm looking down.
what I was getting at is I ended up just picking up the plastics, remelting them, and then the tackle shop that I had gone to that was by Hernandez Hideaway was kind of giving me direction, but not 100% because they were part of what they made in that tackle shop. So they were like, here's a little bit, you know, and I ended up figuring out and casting RTV through trial and error, expensive trial and error, because the lure maker RTV costs more than gold by weight. So like, it's expensive stuff. So I would terrible molds, but I learned air out of them, and I just evolved through that, and became a passion that I had just to save money on baits. It wasn't even something I thought about becoming a lure maker on, you know what I mean? It was just like, I'm not going to go into business. I just want to provide lures for me and my friends to fish. And then tournaments started coming up, and I got better at what I did. And this is skipping a lot of steps, but the kind of getting on par with the mold making. And the baits look good, and I was pouring 3 colors, you know, on a little tiny centimeter mold, worm mold. And I did that for years and years and years. And I got my first tackle shop, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, you know, actually going into business. And then I got a business license and went legit with it after like 5 years of trial and error, trying to get a good line of things that I used in tournament fishing and my buddies. And then one day, somebody won a really big tournament at our local lake at Lake Hodges, which is a really, really, really fun lake to fish. And they won it on my worms, chocolate neon red flake and motor oil red flake. Those two were the hot ones. So,
nice.
So I took that and I took it to the next level, and I just started the business, and that's kind of where it started.
Did you call it Reebs Lures since the beginning?
Jeff Hodges, an OG surfer from Seaside Reef in Solana Beach, said, you should name your company Reebs. You should name your company Reebs. He's at Lake Wolford right now stitching a freaking 7-inch worm right now. I can guarantee you, this dude's like 70 years old, ripping surfer, like one of the best surfers I've ever known. And an incredible fisherman, and this dude lives at Lake Hodges, and he's probably doing this right now, waiting for that one bite that you get. We used to call Lake Woodford one bite Woodford.
Okay, I will have to say that the bite has been extremely slow on the spotted bay bass, and that's how I caught my 2 today. So I go before work, I just go an hour. I was fishing the finesse jig. I know, just a normal swim jig with the skirt cut down, so it's really small. And I have to say that right when I got it up to the dock, I was like, all right, you know what? Slow tide. I know they're on the other side. So I just went, kind of like bed fishing. If you're bed fishing for largies or smallies, using the jig. And I was like, you know what? I need a lot of action and a little bit of room. So I just started doing it. It was, oh, and you just get bent. And then I had to pull them over the dock and all that stuff. But hey, that little trick right there is what catches fish.
He's the one that kind of told me, you know, you should go into business. You should do something because they're working in this direction. And so I called it Reebs. And that was my nickname through high school because it's beers backwards. And I partied in high school, and like all of us probably. And I drank a lot of beers, and that was my nickname. So what up, Sammy Punu? Right on, man. Thanks, Sammy.
What's up?
Sammy, what's going
awesome
on?
Guy.
Sammy's always supporting us.
Yeah, Sammy's fishing too.
Right on.
He's a kayak fisherman.
What's funny is I got tired of putting a lot of money into my baits, and at the time I was fishing purely creature baits, just super simple, like it's like the TRD craw from Z-Man. It's like if you took a tube and then just put claws on it. That's all it is. And so one day I was like, you know what? I'm tired of just going through bag after bag after bag. I think I can do this myself. And luckily, I actually came from the YouTube age, and I've been watching enough YouTube and about fishing because I've always wanted to make baits. I always find it interesting. So I've been following so many people who've already been making baits. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do it. I want to do it. So finally I made those shitty molds, like you said, that are just horrible. But you're so proud of them in the moment. You pour them and the plastic's just not as nice. And you're like, all right, So you just start progressing and progressing and progressing, and finally you're at a place you're like, I think I can do this. But it's super rewarding.
By the way, he doesn't give himself enough credit. His stuff did get bit in the beginning because I was throwing his stuff in the beginning. It's kind of how I got out of my comfort zone, you know. Throwing his baits, I can honestly say that. But you know, it's and I seen him grow. You know, he's come a long way, which is pretty cool to see, man.
A guy starting out, you know, not even just starting out, even with like time under your belt and doing it, it's all about just being consistent, honest, and not, you know, enjoying what you do. Because if you don't enjoy what you do, you're not gonna go anywhere. You're not gonna do what you want to do with it. You're not gonna have fun with it. And it's hard because I mean, I don't do this full time. This is my passion. This is my like hobby. It's turning into something different, especially this year. But a semi-truck driver. I drive a big rig. That's what I do for a living. So I'm home after a 10-hour overnight run to LA and back, and then back again to San Diego. And I come in here and I fill web orders and shop orders, and that's what I do. And I don't hate it. And that's what you have to keep. Like if it becomes a grind, I feel like, God, I got to get in the shop again, or I'm so tired, I don't want to do it. That's when you know that you're not going to make it. If you enjoy it genuinely and you love the creativity and you love the grind, it's not a job, or it's just cool and you enjoy it and you make money doing it. So like, it's not like I'm going to the bank every day with cash in my hand. It's just cool to know that people are fishing your stuff and want more because it works. And for me, that's super gratifying. And I enjoy all aspects of it, from the plastics to the powder coating to the A-rigs to making custom colors, getting them all tricked out. Stokes me. And then when thanks. Yeah, no,
I saw the
I'm all
A-rigs.
lined up. I'm going to show you guys some stuff later. I've had the A-rigs out for about 3 years, but it's been a learning process for me. I fished them without blades for calicos because I don't feel the blades are necessary for calico fishing when it's good. When the fishing's really good, I just don't. So I just did a straight A-rig without blades, just raw dog, dude. Just whatever. Just give me more baits in one area, the better. When it's wide, when the fishing's good, it's highly productive bait, as we know. Evolving with it and getting to learn that you can't put Yasho Kimia money. Well, they're on my website, but I'm not here to sell my baits. I'm just here to give you a little history about my.
Hey, you shot your baits out, man. If they want them,
I'm not shy.
Man. Don't be shy. This is your hour, man. This is your hour, you know.
But I started finding out where to put the blades on the wire, and I learned. Dude, I've gone through so much trial and error, dude. Like my bolt thrower spinner baits, they are the best saltwater spinner bait that I know of on the market, but it wasn't easy getting there, dude. There were some trial and error, man. Oh God, like guys were throwing the top blade off. And they're like, bro, what's up? The top blade flew off. And I'm like, how do I bend the wire around the wire? And I couldn't figure it out. So I researched it. And I'm like, oh, I need a wire bending machine. Okay, now I got to buy a wire bending machine. So I bought a wire bending machine. And now I can do the full wrap around the thing. And they're killer. They don't have that problem anymore. But for a long time, I struggled with like trial and error and all that. A-rigs, bolt thrower spinner baits. I mean, anything like all the stuff that I do has been stuff that has been self-taught, and it's been a journey for sure. And I'm honestly grateful for what I've learned. And now that I know how to do it correctly, it's ready to go to market.
And then you got Slay Day over here saying your rigs are
my boy Slay Day,
better than
Brian,
anything
I love
out
that
there.
guy, man. You know, there's very few people that really do support in a genuine, wholehearted way, and that's Ryan from Slay Day, bro. I love you, dude. You hear me right now? My homie.
He's just trying to get a free trip out there. Just kidding.
Some dude lost his deposit on like a full day fishing trip on one of his boats, and like you're gonna save that $150. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, $150 off. When he was first starting, I went out on one of his trips. It was pretty cool because I
didn't know that.
I had recently gotten my boat. And I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. And he said, the deal was a captain trip, 2 people plus a captain. I don't remember what the price was, but I told my dad, I said, hey, let's 50-50 this and go out. And then we could be on a small boat with the captain and kind of learn a thing or two. And, it's funny. It's one of those days where we were fishing the Huntington Flats, catching sand bass, and a school of yellowtail came through. I didn't hook up on one. My dad hooked up on one, had a bad knot, it popped off. And I go, what do you mean you had a bad knot? He goes, I figured we were just fishing sand bass. When do you see a yellowtail come through when you're fishing sand bass? I haven't had it happen.
Huntington Flats holds got everything. God. We were fishing a tournament there one night. It was it was either an SWBA or an SBS tournament. I can't remember what it was, but it was the first time I've ever fished it. I just got numbers off a map, and I'm like, okay, let's go check it out. I didn't even pre-fish it. And we found this rock, and it was in one of the many different ARs around that area, and we freaking hooked up, dude, in the middle of the night. Just Bendo ended up winning the tournament. First time ever fishing that spot. And it's like Isers, dude. It's just you never know what you're going to get. It's like Isers Reef. You guys ever fished Isers?
So, I'm still waiting for my friend to take me there. I don't know when he's going to take me.
I got a funny Isers story. I had just come off a tuna trip, and my wife goes, hey, will you take me out on the boat? And, I love spending time with her, and she loves spending time with me. So, let's go out on the boat. So we called my dad. I'm like, hey, I'm going to take her out on the boat. We'll be back in time to pick up the kids from school, but if there's an emergency, your name's on the contact list. We're going to be out of cell phone range, potentially. So we go out, and I literally have just taken my tuna gear, and I've rigged up some dropper loops onto it, and we're just fishing for, rockfish, whatever bites out there, some sand bass. And she goes, oh, this is a big one. And I look over, and my 80-pound tuna rod is just, and I'm like, what? I'm being really cool. I'm like, yeah, just take your time.
Inside, you're like, wee!
So she gets it almost up to the boat, and it just pops off.
Oh.
And I go, what did it look like? Did you see it? And she goes, I don't know what it was. It looked like the size of a person's leg. It looked like the size of a person's leg. I'm like, that's interesting. It's like we're on a 2-speed. We're on a 2-speed.
Probably somebody who got sunk at Isers.
We're on a 2-speed Abbott, and I'm like, that's weird. So that night I go to a seminar, and the guy's like, yeah, and if you get bit by a big white sea bass and you're on a heavy rod like a tuna rod and it doesn't have a glass tip, they'll start wearing out a hole and you'll lose them right at the end with the hook just slipping out. And he goes, yeah, and they'll run through Isers, and I'm like, yep.
My wife caught a sea bass.
That was a white sea bass.
Yeah. I mean, Isers is the kind of place. It's like I said. It's like the Huntington Flats. I mean, you just never know what. There's a spot in IB that I fish. We call it the Stones. 80 feet of water, and we fish deep out there. And I mean, randomly, you'll just get into this. It's a sand bass place. We fish tournament fishing mostly back in the day when I fished tournaments. I don't fish tournaments anymore. I retired, but. Won multiple tournaments out there at that spot, and there was sand bass one day. The next day you go back, and you're catching white sea bass and yellowtail, and it's crazy. We even got a giant black sea bass that we released. But I mean, there's ridiculous.
Yeah, I need one of those days.
And then someone found out about the numbers, and the sport boats came in, and it just ruined the spot. But one of the reasons why I stopped fishing tournaments is because of that reason. But all my spots got destroyed. but there's still other spots that I know that aren't destroyed yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's so random, and that's what I love most about fishing is that you can go out and hunt them, and sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. It's just like tournament fishing. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. It's just the way it works.
I mean,
I did
tournament fish
5
work?
years, 2
fishing.
circuits. So I did. I put a lot of time in,
Nice.
and being a truck driver, I'm used to being up late at night. So I was able to tow the boat after a full night shift and tow the boat to LA Harbor or anywhere else, and just learn the waters up north. San Diego, I never really had a pre-fish. A little bit here and there, but nothing like LA because it's always for me to get up there, so I don't have a lot of experience in the LA area. But those 5 years, 2 circuits got me a lot of time, and it was pretty cool to be able to tow the boat out there and go do that, sleep in the truck, and that kind of thing. Fish all night, half the morning, and then go to work the next day and then sleep for like 12 hours straight if I was lucky.
So tournament fishing, what would be considered a circuit?
A full circuit of different types of tournaments that you can fish, like from San Diego all the way to LA. So that would I consider a circuit. And then SBS had the same thing. They had, they would go San Diego Bay, Mission Bay, and then it would be Dana Point, and then it would be Huntington Harbor, and then it would be or in the Huntington area, and then it would be a Catalina tournament, and then it would be a San Clemente tournament, and that's the whole roster for the whole year, or at least the 9 months.
So correct me if I'm wrong. What makes it an actual circuit is there's the individual tournaments, but then there's a winner at the end of all of them, right?
A team, yeah.
Like an overall winner.
The guys sign up for each one, and then you can also cherry pick those. You don't have to do the whole thing. You can cherry pick any of them.
But then you can't win the overall, right?
So yeah, it was a commitment for sure, and I learned a lot. And the thing is I think my baits, as far as what I make and what I pour, really helped evolve the company in that direction, because I knew what I needed to make people were fishing and winning tournaments on. And what I knew I wanted personally, like a 5-inch swim bait, a 4-inch swim bait, I know A-rigs win tournaments, and I started making A-rigs. And whatever I was fishing that I had to buy, I started making, because
it seemed like in the videos I was watching that you were using other lead at that time.
Like what?
At least it's not what you're using now. It seemed like you had just regular open hook lead heads.
I didn't do like the weed guards, the weedless stuff. Yeah. No, there was a time when I just made triangle heads, and that was the cheapest thing I could make, and that's where I started. I wasn't selling at the time. It's just for me and my partner, my fishing partner. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Now, in the video, you had a spinner bait.
Yes.
On. You went with the
yes,
spinner.
I've always only fished my own spinner baits. It's a funny story, and I don't know exactly who would say what about this, but being that I was there at the time, I know it's true. There was a dude that was fishing San Diego kelp. The name of a company, his name was Bass Tricks. I don't know if you guys know, this was a long time ago, man. It was like,
I've heard that name before.
I've heard of Bass Tricks, but I don't know who you're talking about.
There might be another company with that name now. I don't know. But he was the first person that I knew of that fished calicos with blades. And he made a really bitchin' compact blade on it called the bass spin or the jig spin or so. I don't know I can't remember. It was a long time ago. I still have it hanging around here somewhere, but it's totally beat up. But
that Florentino said tricks jetty worm.
Yeah, dude. That's what it is.
What's happening, Matt?
That's what it was. So
how's it going, Matt?
I know. I could have
coming in clutch with the answers.
Bad memory. So he influenced me.
Where were you in high school?
He
when I
influenced
needed
me.
those on Matt?
He was the one that was like, yeah, dude, you need to, I'm not doing this anymore. Here you go. Like, this is what I suggest you do, because there's a really good way to fish these calicos. And I was like, right on, man, right on. I'll see what I can do. That's where the spinnerbait came, the saltwater spinnerbait came into play for me. Is I realized there's a need for a compact jig with a blade on it for certain scenarios. And that's where I went with that. And he was my inspiration on that. So, yeah, dude, hats off. That's
I got one of yours
right there.
rigged up right now.
Yep.
So I want to get into fishing spinner blades. I have tried it once before, and it was never like beyond successful for me. But after watching your YouTube video of you guys fishing spotted bay bass, I was like, man, I got to get back into that. So do you have a certain size range that you're using inside the harbor and
Yes.
a certain size range that you're using outside the harbor?
Absolutely.
You want to break that down?
Well, the first size that I came out with for the bolt thrower spinnerbait was the 1 ounce, because it covers a lot of area from 15 feet of water to 30 feet of water, depending on the wind and drift. I thought that was the perfect size to start with. So I didn't know how it was going to be accepted, and it got accepted very well. So what I decided to do was drop down to 1/2 ounce, because I had a lot of guys wanting 1/2 ounce. So I catted out the 1/2 ounce. I just shrunk down the 1 ounce into half, and we made that. Which is great. A lot of freshwater guys fish it, deeper water. The bait, but I personally fish the 1 ounce pretty much 80% of the time. And the only time I don't fish the 1 ounce is when I'm fishing in 80 feet of water. Then I'll jump to the 2.5 ounce, and that's on a light drift. That's when the wind just switches from offshore to inshore. When you're drifting on a spot deep, starts to switch, and you can stay in a spot longer than normal. You know what I'm saying? Ounce. But the 1 ounce, I'll fish from 15 feet all the way to 35 to 40 feet on a good day. And I'll fish them in the kelp. They're totally weedless. I mean, dude, I love the spinnerbait in the kelp. I mean, if you can find those lanes and those avenues and throw that bolt thrower down those lanes and run them. What I wanted to do with Reebs thing is I wanted to make baits that were strong, that weren't going to fall apart. Now, if they're falling apart in my tackle box, everybody who's bottom's tackle box, the skirts I'm talking about, the blades are going to rust out, dude. That's a given. There's nothing I can do about that except dip them in like WD-40 and give you another couple days on them. But it's tough. The salt water kills things. And
well, the truth is, if you want them to last, you wash them afterwards.
I'll be honest. If you're paying $12 for a
that's the truth.
I would take care of it. You know.
Well, like this is one of my favorite ones, and I wash it.
That's the way you got to take care of your spinnerbaits. I use ball bearing swivels, not barrel swivels, so you're going to get a lot of good turning on that blade, and it's going to stay that way if you take care of it. So let me show you. So on every spinnerbait we make, okay, this is a 2.5 model of Mexican flag. Every spinnerbait we make, we zip tie the skirts to the I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a zip tie on that skirt to the head. Now, these skirts, I would fish this bait, and 2 days later go back out to fish, and the skirt would be all over my tackle box because the rubber band was eaten by the saltwater. That. And I'm like, you know what? If it's happening to me, it's happening to other people too. So what I did is I just decided that I was going to take the extra time on every single bolt thrower that I make, and I'm going to zip tie that skirt to the head because that prevents this from happening. And that's kind of where this spinnerbait it accelerates from other spinnerbaits. Yeah, Bass Mafia, what's up, dog? Wee, my homie. So,
so are you adding trailers to that?
And that's great. I fish them just like this, just raw, just the way they are. So I don't just do that on my spinnerbait. I do it every single one of my jigs that I make. I zip tie the skirts to the head. And yes, it is tedious, and yes, it takes a long time. Mm-hmm. It adds another to getting these things in production. But you know what? That's why I make baits, is to be strong.
Do you know what? We do that for the customer because we love you guys.
And I hate having to get destroyed in my tackle block.
Well, it's funny because that's what I'm going to start doing. I've got a bunch of little zip ties already in my toolbox. They're going to move into my tackle building box because, you know, all your jigs, you're always losing skirts. So I have a whole selection of different drawers of skirts so I can go and put new skirts on things. And they're going to start getting the zip tie afterwards. I sell
the skirt replacement packs, and we put zip ties in those skirt replacement packs for that reason. It's just the baits are designed to catch fish. They're designed to last a long time, and that's what I take pride in. And like I said, I don't do it for production. We don't have back stock. We make lures to order, and every one of them is built tough and the way I would want to fish them and the way I would want my baits to last. I don't build baits with shitty hooks. I don't build baits with shitty components. I don't cut corners. What I feel I stand apart from most of the people in the industry is because I spend the time to do that, and I think that's what makes Reebs unique. I really do.
The nice part about that is, by chance you do have overstock or you made a couple of extras here and there, you go, well, this one customer had a pretty cool order. I really liked his color, so I made one extra for me. So the cool part about staying consistent is, especially when you fish your products so much, that you go, I want it like this. You know, you tweak it, you make it usable for everybody, but you also make it to last too, because that's just how you want it. And that's the fun part about it, is you go, yeah, if I like it. And
Strictly Irons, what's up, homie? Yeah, dog. I love that guy.
Well, and you know, one of the nice things too, like when you talk about that quality, is you know, I don't mind naming certain names. I like to fish because occasionally it's what the bite calls for. I like to fish a mega bass dark sleeper. Sometimes they're just slurping those things, and you catch fish that start pushing that 6 pound mark. That hook starts straightening out, and you're like, well, great. What am I going to catch a 7 pounder and lose it? And so it's nice when you have companies, and I'll just name a few, like you, Daniel, War Baits, Cool Baits, where you can trust the hook. You're just like, it's not even a thought in my head that this hook might make.
That's why those companies are still around. Yeah, there's a lot of trash out there. But, I mean, I see some things that I'm like, whoo,
yeah,
wow, like, good luck. You know, it's not going to take long for people to figure out that those things rust out, or they don't hold, or they're just trash. Mm-hmm. I mean, but
what's you'll see often too is a lot of people try to enter the bait world as a cash grab, but I'm like, none of us that actually make baits are here for the money. Like, we're here because we love to fish. We had a need, and it was more than what we wanted to give the other guy. And so we started making it. You know, we get to make our custom colors. We want what we want, and we have a style that we want to fish. We have a style that we want to master. And you know what? We can get crazy with it. That's the fun part about it.
When you make them and don't order them from somebody who makes them for you and then just put a ridiculous price on the end of it, that's so much more gratifying to me. Like, I've had options where I can have outsourced manufacturing for all my baits from start to finish, and I decline. It's just like, where's the fun in that? I do it because I like it. What up, Brad? Yeah. Brad Allen, what up? Dude, me and that guy and my youngest son went out on my boat one time out of Oceanside, 9 miles and limited on yellowfin. I mean, on bluefin. And it was ridiculous. And we got a freaking marlin on 30-pound test, and we landed. It was 150 pounds, dude. Flat, Brad out. Yeah, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Oh no, it was like the next
All on the
day.
same
The
trip?
fishing was so good that we went back the next day, and then we were looking for Dorado because the Dorado had moved in, but I wasn't sure exactly what area they were in. But I'm like this. I like looked around. I'm like, this feels like a good area to fish, and we just threw back a bait and we hooked this marlin and Brad. we all took turns on it now. Little tiny 17-foot skiff and took pictures and one of my most memorable moments. One of my most memorable
On
moments was
3-pound
holding up
test?
that
30.
marlin with my son right in the background,
30
you know,
pound.
Brad in the background going, woo! It was cool, man.
Dude, that's so sick.
But as far as Reebs goes, man, I don't know. I'm a tiny little manufacturer that does a lot of output. I mean, we've been really busy this year so far, and with all the Cedros packs that we've been pushing out, and on me to outfit them for their Cedros trips, which is really cool. I really do like it. I poured like it makes me it's fun for me because it allows me to be creative in the swim baits. Like it's not just your everyday run of the mill website orders. I can get creative and I can learn more about different colorways and stuff like that. And more concentrate more on that custom aspect of fishing lure manufacturing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you take custom orders?
Custom orders. As a matter of fact, I just
you take custom orders
and built 4 A-rigs for these boys down south, and they're pretty dope. You guys want to see them? So I did a 1/4 ounce. I did 2 1/4 ounce models and 1 1/2 ounce models for the kelp. So they wanted something that's going to fish more in the inside, and so I built them something like this, a little chartreuse with a smoked purple iridescent on the top. Super strong swivels. Yeah, built them that one. And then I built them a 1/2 ounce model. It's the same thing, but just a 1/2 ounce model, bladed for the outside, for the kelp. A little deeper.
No,
Yeah.
are you selling your A-rigs with
I don't
heads?
want you guys. I mean, guys who can buy my stuff are going to be like, okay, now I got to go out and buy heads, and I got to go buy plastics. I even thought about selling them rigged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to
sell them ready to go
out to buy heads, you know, and you know, I figured if I just put the heads on there, it's good to go. All you got to do is everybody's got plastics laying around. I mean, but the A-rigs are cool because there's so many different ways to customize them. I can do anything. I can put hooks on two of the arms, and then the other 3 have blades on them, or the opposite. You know, and that's what kind of makes being a custom guy that like me that can do custom baits so unique, is that you can build those baits in a custom way. And man, I haven't looked at myself in the mirror in a long time, dude. I am looking freaking rough, dude. Jesus. I need to get
looking.
I was actually going to get a haircut today. I was doing this.
Let's not start talking about haircuts.
All I know,
Luke, you were gonna.
I'm low and tight.
Yeah, but Luke, did you shave those pits?
Every day. Every day.
Luke, you were gonna ask a question. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, that's gone out of my brain
straight
now.
up, fresh out.
Oh man,
yeah, buddy.
Can't do that. You can't do that. So tell us about your Cedros.
36 times.
You fished Cedros before, right?
I shouldn't really say how many times, but just say the hours, because that's more important than the times, because I've done multiple 10-day trips out there. Let's just put it that way. Lots of 8 days and multiple 10s. And that's when you really get to know a fishery, is when you spend that kind of time out there. 36 trips, I don't even know. I'd have to get out a calculator or how many hours that is. But a 10-day trip at 12 hours, 122 hours, right? A lot of hours. And the people out there are just so freaking cool, man. Like, when I first started Cedros, I was the first gringo to go with Cedros Outdoor Adventures. I was the first white guy to go to that island and fish in a ponga with him and his with his outfitter. And it was the first trip.
Really?
It was sketchy, but it wasn't sketchy. It was sketchy in my head. because I was like, this is weird. I'm going to a desert island. I'm boarding a plane. What to expect? Like, this is like, we're taking off from TJ, you know, Ensenada. We're like flying over. Yeah, we're on a sketchy
little
plane. 4 passengers.
Wait, you're on a plane?
Yeah, you got to take a little.
I saw your video, but I didn't know you had to take a plane.
It takes 5 days from Point Loma. So, I mean, you know, you can get there. You can get. So we take off, right? All the rods are down the middle of the aisle.
That's crazy.
In the plane, like in where you sit, there's a 4-seater plane, bro. So I got my homies in the back. I got the pilot. I'm sitting in the seat in the front, and someone brought a jig stick, which you're not supposed to bring an 8-foot or 9-foot jig stick. Put it down the middle of the aisle, and the pilot couldn't use the rudders because the rod was under his pedals. He's like. I can't move the plane like this because the rods. He's trying to talk to me in Spanish. And I'm like, ¿Qué es problema? He's like, the rod. I'm like, he can't fly the plane. So like, we're like struggling with that. Oh yeah.
Are you already in the air at this point?
We're over the Pacific.
Are you
What's up, Phil?
In the air?
At this point, you just go, oops, I stepped on it, broke it, my bad.
We moved it
for real, dude.
We moved it between the 2 pedals.
Like,
but that was just one trip, man. It's sketchy.
I would have.
There was another trip when it was raining, and it was raining into that. There was a leak into the cockpit, and it was raining into the plane, and it was flooding. Literally flooding in the plane, like where all our gear was in the back. And I looked at my bro and I go, dude, this is adventure.
And those planes are weight restricted.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. There's a lot of calculations that go into the weight, people, baggage, fuel, and all that. I cannot imagine like getting extra weight just from the rain entering in. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's like you ever get you don't realize you have a leak and you got some water in your bilge and you shift your boat and you can feel that water shifting. I can't even imagine that in the plane.
I almost died.
One time.
In Catalina, it was the saltwater. It was a saltwater challenge or something. SWBA put it on at Catalina Island, but you can go fish Clemente. And I had a little 17-foot boat, but I always had bilge problems. So we're fishing, right? And the storm system came in, and we fished the first day. We did all right. We were like middle ground of people that did good. And then where the storm came in, and they're like, bro, you guys, it's going to be gnarly tomorrow. So we're like, fuck that. We're gonna bounce. We're in the middle of the field. We didn't feel like we were getting bit very good, and like we weren't feeling it. So like, let's just beat the storm out. Well, we leave early because they say it's coming, and I look out towards Huntington to the west, see our squalls everywhere, just real dense forming storm systems. So I'm like, let's go. So me and 3 other boats shoot out Long Beach. We're going to Huntington. So we kind of just do that, and I'm avoiding the squalls, not looking at my bilge because I keep it open to look for that reason because it always seems to break for some reason. I don't know why. We hit a fog bank that was like a wall, and I'm like, holy crap. We get into it. I can't even see my trolling motor. My tournament, we got all our luggage in the back. My tournament partner's on the front, hugging the trolling motor, looking. I'm just going to follow my tracks on my GPS back because I know there was no oil rigs where I was going, to get out there. So there was a freight liner that anchored right in my tracks, this like Goliath steel boat full of rust and crap. We rolled right up onto it, dude. And I'm like, holy crap. And we look up, and it's this dripping rust bucket of metal right in front of my bow, and all our luggage blows to the front of the boat on water. Like you said, it all rolled to the front of the boat. I'm like, things like this low to the water, basically flooding the engine. We're like 4 miles from Huntington Harbor. So I can't get the boat on plane. Oh yeah. No,
So at this point, is your bilge full? So
what happened?
So you've probably shorted out.
I can fix it without looking because I learned how to do that. But there was so much crap, and I was so nervous that I couldn't get my fingers around the wires, and I was cold. It was the middle of winter, so we ended up like all the way back to Huntington Harbor. So we get to Huntington Harbor, the speed limit's like 3, 4, 5 miles per hour.
So at this point, are you trimming your motor up just to try to get more out of the water?
To keep the motor above from going on, or from, I mean, literally we were wheeling it back. And we get into Huntington Harbor, and here come the Huntington Harbor police telling us to slow down. And I'm like, bro, if I kill the throttle, we're going to sink. And they're like, slow down. I'm like, no, I can't. We limped it back. That's what he did.
So you got to give us an escort.
And he's like, okay, yeah. And, he brought us back. We got back to the dock, and I tied it off real quick. And then, bro, that was such a sketchy day. Oh, my God.
So you tied it off?
I tied it off so it wouldn't
just
sink.
beach it on the ramp?
Backed up the trailer, and then we walked it onto the trailer, and we pulled it out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot the plug one time, and we're getting ready to launch, and my buddy goes, "Why is there so much water in your transom?" And I go, instantly I was like, "Because I forgot the plug." We backed up the trailer, pulled it out. The boat couldn't have been in the water more than 10, 15 minutes. Took 30 minutes to drain the bilge. So the water comes in faster than it goes out.
When I first bought my boat,
it's under pressure.
It's fresh out of the plant, and it had so much fiberglass in it that it clogged my bilge. When we towed it to San Francisco Bay to fish a tournament, San Francisco Bay, a striped bass tournament, 100 miles, and we dropped in. We couldn't find the launch ramp, so we paid some dude to use his launch ramp, like $25. We're like, bro, we don't even know where we are. We don't know where we're going. We almost sunk the boat the first day it went out. Like it from the
you said it was fiberglass dust in the bilge? Ridiculous.
Crazy, dude.
Ridiculous.
Crazy. We didn't even know how to get. We didn't even know where to go. Dude. It was so dumb.
My God. So the last time I took out my boat, there's a slow leak in it. We'll call it a slow leak. And
Flex Seal. Thank you, Yoshi.
Yeah, I definitely need to use that. Yeah, and so I know that I have like 6 hours maybe. And so I fished this whole day kind of thing. I get back and I'm like, all right, like right on time, right on like hour, 5. And I'm rolling up to the boat launch and people are looking at me like, I didn't know you had a low rider. Like, did you just like go like pick up like hoops or something? We're sitting close to the water. I get my boat on the trailer and up, and it's just I just pull the plug and it's just absolutely running water like this, and I was just like, yes, on schedule. Perfect.
Right. Yeah.
But we
already had it timed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a question. Somebody just asked, what is your most memorable tournament memory?
Man, that is a good question. Oh man, most memorable. Well, tough one. There's been some good times. There's been some bad times. I mean, I don't want to touch on the bad. Obviously, I would say one morning on a San Diego-based tournament. We're being filmed by Stoked on Fishing, and we had a cameraman on board. Shay was filming, and we had found a bite. And he called me the night before. He's all, "You guys on fish?" I said, "Yeah." He's all, "Can I ride with you?" I said, "Sure, let's go." An IB that was ridiculous. These deep water stones, and we knew they were going to be there the next day. We had pre-fished 2 days in a row, so we were excited, really excited to go fish this tournament. And so happened that we got there and we ended up getting limits after the first drift. We drifted over this rock pile. We had 5 fucking good fish in the well already, and it was like 5:50 a.m. I mean, we had probably 14 pounds in one drift. It was ridiculous. Bing, 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 bing. And we went back and drifted again and did it again. And we were like, okay. And then we started calling at 6:30 in the morning. It was at like 2 o'clock, I think. We had so much weight and fish at the end. We ended up weighing, I think, 19.5 pounds of sand bass. And the bite was so good and it was so ridiculous. We were just having fun at the end. But fish started to roll, or started to look like they were going to roll, because we're bringing them up from 80 to 95 feet of water. So these fish are blowing up, and they're rolling over, and we had to pop them and be very careful to do that, because you kill your fish if you do that. And our biggest ones were rolled over from their bellies, their air bladders expanding. So we were like, bro, we got to go weigh in. Like, let's go weigh in early. So we called the tournament director and we're like, hey, we're coming in now. Like, we got a big bag. Our fish aren't looking so good. We want to get them weighed before if they die. We didn't know for sure if they were going to die or not. So he's like, yeah, no problem, we'll weigh it out. So we ended up weighing 19.5 pounds and winning the tournament. And best tournament bite I've ever had in my life. I mean, it was so good. And we just we were pulling 5-pounders. I mean, it was like, it was so good.
That's crazy.
That was one. There was so many stories, dude. There's so many good times to answer that question. I mean,
I've had a couple good nights where there's a couple 5-pound pluses on board. I don't think I've ever had a time where there would be enough on board.
It's rare, and that's why it was special, because you don't normally get that kind of fishing. I mean, in a tournament especially, those days that we loved. Mm-hmm. Why we fish is for those days, whether it's tournament fishing or just regular fishing. I mean, you live for that stuff, you love it, but it doesn't happen very often. That's what makes our sport unique, and that's why I love fishing, is because you just never know. It could be a blank, you could kill them.
Well, and just to kind of put that day in perspective, probably my most memorable day was Me and my buddy doubled up on a 9-pounder and an 8-pounder, and we caught so many 4-pounders that day that we were going, oh, it's just another 4-pounder. We don't even need a pitcher. But a 5-pounder would have been our third biggest fish, let alone so many fish that you're throwing 5-pounders out of the tank.
I know.
Just nuts.
It was.
It's just so next level.
Happened to find that spot, and that day it just all came together. There was another day, like I said, at the Huntington Flats, that we found that rock, and we stroked them down that night too, and that was pretty fun. We got first place in that tournament as well, and that was the first time we've ever gone and fished that area before. I just studied a map, and I looked for those hard bottom areas, and I said, okay. And it was in October, so I knew that there were going to be lobster traps. So what I do is I look for lobster traps that marks hard bottom. Lobster fishermen are fishing on hard bottom. They're not fishing on sand. So, you're going to find some structure if you find lobster traps. So that's a trick for those people that are new to a new area, to look for lobster traps and fish in the general area, because you're going to find hard bottom, and most likely you're going to find bass. Just a little comment.
It's funny because I've had a couple times where I'm on a good bite and it's like, oh, there's stinking lobster traps everywhere. And until this conversation, I hadn't equated, why don't you look for those lobster traps instead of being annoyed that they're there?
If you can figure out which way the current's running and then fish it that way you're not catching the rope. You're gonna get fish for sure in that area. Not only is there bait in the water down there in the traps that attract those fish, they eat the particles as they come out. You're gonna get a good bite on a good current, on a good bite. So yeah. Good little technique.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Invent fishing spots in places we have no idea where we're fishing.
So
So what are your PVs? Oh, there. No, go, because I interrupted you already. No, you go. You go.
I want to know what your PVs are. I want to know what your PVs are.
No, what were you going to ask first? The PVs can be...
largemouth bass, 15.5 pounds. 1998. I have a picture to show you. I'll go in the house and grab it if you want me to. 15.5.
15 pounds.
Do me a favor.
15. Sorry, I took half off. What am I thinking? That's... Damn, man.
That's almost 16. That's almost 16. You take it back.
Bro, you're taking... dude, 15.5 pounds.
Send me pictures afterwards.
Sure.
Send me pictures afterwards and I'll repost them. And anybody watching who wants to send pictures, we've done that a couple times. We just repost them afterwards and everyone can share.
Let's see, that's largemouth. Yellowfin tuna, 98 pounds. Never broke the 100-pound thing on yellowfin.
That's still
I was on my own boat,
respectable tuna.
Skiff, so that was pretty cool. Let's see, bluefin, 155 bluefin. So I didn't do a lot of bluefin fishing. I never was the big cow bluefin fisherman guy. I went on a few trips and got one really good one. I went on more than a few trips, actually, looking for one good one.
150 still
fed my family for a whole year. Let's see.
There you go.
Calico, mini over 10. I wouldn't say they were much bigger than 10 pounds. Modestly and honestly, the rusty scale at Cedros does no justice to the weight of the fish. We had a digital scale one time, and it said 10.8. Doc said 9.4. I'll take it in the middle and say it was 10 pounds. We had multiple instances like that. What else? Fantail grouper. 8-pound fantail grouper. I think that's what it was.
For calico, what's your big local?
Jeez. 8 pounds? I'd say about 8 pounds.
Very nice.
I mean,
that's a good one.
I could sit there and tell fish stories, but I'm being honest. I mean, I don't think I caught anything over 10 locally. I've seen them caught. My son caught one over 10 locally on my boat right next to me, and I'm like,
sick.
Good for you. Dude,
best on the Skull Crusher. Phil asked best on the Skull Crusher.
God, that bait just came out 5 years ago. So, best calico on the Skull Crusher. God, dude, you should be more like quantity, man. Like sheep's head, calicos, probably 6 pounds calico and Cedros on the Skull Crusher. We fished that thing all day long. I mean, it looks cool. The bait's rad, but it catches fish too. I mean, it really does. My biggest Sandy is 9 pounds.
Sandy?
9 pounds in that IB area that I told you about. That was not in a tournament. That was free fishing.
So it sounds like you've caught all the big ones and you don't need to fish anymore.
I don't.
Wait, we forgot about spotties. What about a spotty?
Yeah, what about spotty?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think I weighed it.
No
I just
weight on
measured
it?
because I can kind of estimate by the inches. Yeah, it was 19.5 inches. A nice one. It was really good. It was a really good spotty.
Yeah,
no, this one had a head and a belly. I was like, woo. It was a good one. Just threw it back. Weighed it out or measured it and threw it back, you know? Not like you're going to keep spotties or anything, but, I mean, it lived to see another day, and someone else is going to have the benefit of catching that fish, for sure. Yeah. So what's that question say? Ever tell the slugs for tuna any plans to make 8XHD heads for plastics to fish pelagians? What's an XHD head? Does anybody know?
I'm curious, too, because I would imagine any of your heads would hold up to pelagians.
Plenty. They do hold up, but I wouldn't count on it over 27, 30-pound yellowtail on my heads, not without bending the hook out. They're just pull too hard. Unless you're in deep water. I mean, if you're inside fishing yellows that big that are going to bend hooks, you're never going to land that fish.
Extra heavy duty.
I'm not going to lie. about my baits. Those hooks are strong as fuck, but dude, a 27 to 30 pound yellowtail is going to bend them out. They're going to do it. And if you're in deep water, if you're in 800, 200 feet of water and you catch a yellow on a patty, yeah, no problem. You just let loosen up your drag and fight the fish. But like my last trip out there when I got that 50, in 40 feet of water, and if I was fishing my kelp assassin hooked on that fish, there's no freaking way I would have landed it, dude. Not in 40 feet of water, because they were running us right to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They were going towards the reef to kill it to break us off. We lost multiple 50-pound yellowtail on that trip, multiple. We kept going back and trying again and again and again, and finally I landed one.
So what was different on the one you landed? You just heavier line, heavier drag?
When I go to Cedros, well, it depends, because every time we go out there, it's different. Sometimes you're getting cookie cutter 25s, 28s, you know, even smaller. The problem is that you have a limit of 5 that you can catch. So you get out there early in the morning, and the pond captain's already had 50 charters before you. He knows where the yellowtail are. So at 6 a.m. in the morning when you launch the boats, the fishing grounds are less than 10 minutes away. So you have to be careful on which ones you're keeping, because you can keep a 20. Afternoon bites, you're getting 40s. And you're like, bro, why did I keep that 20? You know, because you only got 5. So it turns into catch and release on the big ones. But, I like to go there and feed my family. That's why I go to Cedros. So that's the food. That's what I do. I go there to catch fish for the year.
So Phil's asking favorite size spinner, favorite Reebs size spinner, and then color.
1 ounce Ghost, 1 ounce 44 Magnum. I do really well on Carnival lighter colored spinnerbaits, but there are a lot of people do good on the darker colored spinnerbaits. So I offer them on my website that way. But if you guys are going to ask me which ones I would die, if I have one spinnerbait to fish the rest of my life, it would be Ghost, 100%. It's a sexy shad head with a really nice gray and iridescent pearl skirt. And for some reason, the bass love it. They absolutely love it. From spotties to calicos to halibut. They all eat it. Now, this is my favorite
like that in 1 ounce
size, because like I said, it covers most of the grounds that I fish from 15 to 30 feet. I know.
I'm gonna have to pick one of those up.
You really should.
So
It's
note it.
Luke, put in that order and we'll all jump in. That way you just have to do 3 of them or ship it 3 times. But on another note, what's your breakdown style for fishing the spinnerbait for spotties? Because we've had questions in the past. They go, what size spinnerbait do you like fishing for spotties? And I go, you know, I've fished the 3/8 and I've fished the 1/4 ounce. I've caught fish on them, but it's never been like this kills. And I know people just absolutely decimate spotties on spinner blades, and it's just not me. So I'm wondering what that next tip is to make me a better.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. And what I like to say is, first of all, confidence has a whole lot to do with it. It's hard to build confidence when you don't have fish on the record catching them on that bait. So you can have the best looking bait in the world and be like, fuck, I just can't catch fish on it, but I know other people do. I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. It's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong. You just have to understand the mechanics behind a spinnerbait to understand what triggers the bass to bite it. I do personally, and I'm not saying that I'm a pro fisherman in any way, okay? I'm not the expert here, but I will say that I've got more spotty.
I think you are the expert here, though.
I'm stoked. Oh, shit, my battery's looking low right now. I just realized that. Spinnerbait fishing. Cast.
Well,
keep it in free spool. Raise your rod tip, click it over, and follow it down as it hits. When it hits the bottom, raise your rod tip to about 70 to 80 degrees. Not all the way up, just like that, so you can feel your tip. And start slow rolling it. Fish it like a swim jig. Don't even think that spinnerbait has a blade on it. Don't even think about the blades, wondering if they're spinning, any of that. Just raise your rod tip, get the thing kicking, and let it just go right over the grass, just like this. Just like that. Oh,
and you're saying you like to go slow roll.
I remember I got beat by guys fishing a spinnerbait, flipping docks, and dead sticking it. Not even fucking moving it. They're like, oh, we were dead sticking spinnerbaits all day. I'm like, what the fuck?
I love information like that. It's just like, what? Well, that.
So it's funny because I went fishing with a guy that was killing them, going real heavy and burning them, which was an interesting technique because I had always done well fishing them slow, and on the same day I couldn't buy a bite fishing them slow. So it's interesting how the flavor of the day can affect that.
When there's a time and a place for spinnerbaits. It's not every time. You know, it's just good to have them because a lot of times they're targeting fin bait. And you want to really just concentrate on fin bait, and that spinner bait's a good way to do it. Or if they're not hungry, you get a reaction bite out of them. We were fishing Cedros. I got a cover shot, Western Outdoor News for it. We were fishing a spot where the bass weren't biting, but we knew they were there. I mean, it was the most gorgeous spot in the world. I switched over from a swim bait to a spinner bait and got a freaking toad, like an 8-pounder on the spinner bait. And it was just right where I cast it 100 times with a swim bait. They just needed that. They just needed that reaction. They weren't hungry. They wanted.
Yeah, you made me jump. I was like, "Oh shit, what?" No, man. I mean, I've had some crazy bites where it's like it feels like that, man, and you're like,
there's no doubt you're bit on.
It takes a soul out of your body, you know.
And it's like a walloping, and I love it.
Yeah,
love it all.
No, the spinnerbait's a fun bite, and we just started setting up some of these big heavies that we're hoping to start fishing this year. Haven't really had the opportunity to throw them, but we got some bigger 2.5 ounce musky spinners that we've set up big and heavy.
Yeah,
fishing. I'm excited to see what plays out this year. And like I said, yours is sitting in there in the collection with the rest of them.
Well, you know, my skirts won't fall off.
Ready for that big bite. Yeah, no, these ones are getting the zip tie put on them tonight.
No. So I'm not sure how much longer my battery is going to last for, guys, but I know it. I'll keep talking until it does. It's all good, man. It's all good. Is there any other questions you guys have, or?
Well, let's do this.
There's a million.
Yeah, I know.
Definitely.
No, for sure, most definitely.
We love to do it. As you can see, we love to talk fish. You're a wellspring of knowledge, and you've got a bunch of different styles that will just make everybody better, and we like that. But we only have 15 minutes left anyways. Is there any places that you want to plug right now, and then we can just kind of go from there.
I mean, there's always been like Hogan's Bait and Tackle. That's been a huge supporter of our product since the very beginning. They're constantly doing reorders, and Hogan's is located at Dana Point, right there by the landing. We love Hogan's. I'm not a real big retail guy. I'm mostly an internet-based person, so I just don't have sales reps to go out there and butter them up like they like. So I stay away from the tackle shops as far as going out looking for them. I don't do that. I'm mostly an internet-based manufacturer, but there are a few. Yes, there's Johnny's Sports Shop that does really good with our stuff. There's I should have had a list, but I think we're like 6 or 7 retail stores that I can't remember where they are exactly. That I'd love to plug, but I just don't remember right at the moment where they're at. But I personally like to thank all my homies that have supported the company. I mean, you're buying a quality product that's fisherman for fishermen, and not for looks, not for anything else other than just getting bit. And the baits last, and I'm not looking to get rich on this company. I do it because I enjoy doing it, and that's the bottom line. We're super busy, and I love it. And I appreciate all the support that everybody's given us throughout the years. And I'm talking 20 years of building this business to where it is now, very slowly, not marketing, not any of that. I don't really care about any of that. I just like the support support from local people, local guys fishing, and I love getting those pictures of them catching, whether it's a spotty that's that big or a calico that's that big. You know, it's all good. So I'm going to give you guys a quick panorama of my shop real quick just to see just how small we really are, okay? So this...
For sure.
So this is my little web order stuff right here that I'm going to ship out pretty soon. Some of my persuaders, some swim jigs, some A-rigs I'm shipping out tomorrow. And then this is where I pour. Got my microwaves, some powders, some ingredients. No, we're about that.
Censor.
I got my glitters, and my powders, and then my colors. Some of my molds that I use.
All right, while you're telling us, is there a link in your bio?
Yeah, you can go reebslures.com, or you just go to my bio, and you can check it out there. You can just hit up the website anytime. I try to ship as fast as I can. We make them, like I said, as they come in. I don't backstock hardly anything. It all just gets sold out at the trade shows. But here's my powder coat section. Powder coating of different things. Boys,
like I said before, you're exactly. You're an inspiration. A lot of people love to believe that you have to be some form of just put together and organized to like make baits, get bit, and all that stuff. I go, no, you got to start somewhere, and then you'll work up to where you want to be and all that stuff. And it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, like I started off like a jewelry, rubber silicone and all that stuff. Actually, right here, it's horrible, but that's where I started. So it's just funny. You got to start somewhere. And
that's what happened with me, man. That's exactly what I do, and it's never really going to stop. This company is not going anywhere anytime soon. There's no reason for me to stop, or we don't have any overhead, or it's just something I enjoy doing, and I make a little bit of money on the side. That's all there is. It just pretty much supports my habit of fishing.
So what's really cool is every year I stop by your booth at the Fred Hall every year that I go. It's always one of the highlights. It's always real clean. It's not a bunch of stuff jumbled in. It's all displayed really nicely, and it all looks really, really good. And this year at PCS, I didn't really have time to stop by your booth because we showed up late. The way the whole thing went, and Charlie and Daniel went by your booth, and they came back with the spinnerbait for me because I'd been talking about trying to find a big spin. They go, we found your big spinner. He had one left. We got it. We should ask him to be on the live with us. And I said, yeah, absolutely, because I love this stuff. And I think I even texted you later and was asking like, hey, are you going to be at Fred Hall? And it was because I missed going to the booth. But so the other day, Charlie goes, hey, he has YouTube videos. So I started watching the YouTube videos and I went, oh, this is going to be good. There is so much more here than I thought. And it's so cool to see all the – so I saw one layer, and that's what you presented at the shows, and to find out all the tournament stuff and the Cedros trips. It's so awesome to peel back that next layer.
That. I don't brag, or I'm a humble person, dude, and I don't think I'm better than anybody else at any time and anywhere, any place. I just do my thing. I appreciate you guys. You seem like a really bunch of cool dudes, man, and I surround myself with people like that, and there's not a lot of us around, seems like. So, yeah. So
we're a dying breed.
You guys keep that shit humble like you've been doing, man, and I feel like you guys are going to do something with what you got going on, too,
We appreciate
What's up,
that, man.
Boy?
100%.
That's cool.
Just
what can you do?
keep fishing. That's all there is, right?
There's one question. Will you be making any grunion colors?
Grays, pearls. I can make those, yeah. Just shoot me a picture of what you want. I'll make it. I can do that in a spinnerbait. I can do that in a weedless. I can do that in a 5-inch swim bait.
And then do you have any tips for people that are starting or want to start making plastics or pouring their own plastics? That was from Tupac.
What's up, bro?
Low KZ.
I mean, just tips. You got to start at the bottom. I mean, it's a learning process. You can't just get good quick. It just doesn't work that way. I didn't even pour a swim bait for the first 8 years. I poured little tiny micro worms in 3 colors in them, and it got me really good. It got me really good at doing that. So discipline. Don't get frustrated. Don't think you're going to be a millionaire.
That's the one right there.
Don't think you're going to be a millionaire and millions of dollars at doing it. You got to love it, and that's the tip that I give to you: is just put your head down and start pouring those baits and go out and get bid on them, and then just start distributing them to your bros, to your homies. And then once your homies start hooking up on them, then all of a sudden they're going to be placing orders, and then you've used that money to fund the cause, and then 40s with that shit, dude. Go out and buy molds.
It's been pretty cool to see. It's been pretty cool to see Daniel go from the home carved craw.
Right. That's neat. Like that's evolution. That's what it's all about, and that's why we do it. I mean, if there's no stagnant water in a lure maker's eyes. There's always something, dude. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and think about a color combo and think about it all day long, and then go forward.
Hand carved. Wait, what is it?
How simple this is. This is an unreleased.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what is that?
What are we doing here?
This is my try like a TRD kind of the net rig worms, and then it's like you have the 3D models that have just really been boosted. But hey,
that's what's up, man. There's no judgment here. That's for sure.
No, for reals, man. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I fished Daniel's stuff since the beginning. I seen him grow, which is pretty cool.
Hey, Reyes, what's up?
Oh,
yeah.
What up, Reyes?
Charlie's the funniest because he has these oddball colors because it's like always those misprints. I go, hey, Charlie, I have a color for you. It's a misprint, blah, blah, blah.
And then I catch on
a week later. Yeah. A week later, he's like, bro, that was the best color I've ever fished in my life. Let me get more of those. I was like, that was a
one-off.
Made that.
That was a one-off.
I'm going to plug this because Daniel's dad was right. He doesn't promote his own baits enough. I got the pleasure to help Daniel design a bait, and we got these swim baits that I think he's getting the new mold for right now. This was the tester mold. And what's really cool is I like the dark sleeper, how that tail will sit up in the air and just kick in the current. So we designed this flat spot, and it ends up sitting flat on the ground so that this tail can kick.
Design, that's a great idea.
It definitely works. So for everyone watching, that's going to be one of the next things to look out for from Daniel.
One count.
Yeah.
Rod repair.
Rod repair.
What do I do with that? If I can, no. Only when the tip comes off, I know how to repair that. I worked in a tackle shop for about a year and a half, so I kind of got a little bit of knowledge on rod repair, but just the tips.
Just for a second.
So I don't know about rod repair. I mean, I that's kind of out of my league.
For rod repair, I do it myself. For everybody else, I would recommend just taking it to the tackle shop and pay the $20.
Yeah, support the shops.
Someone who knows what they're doing.
That's what we need to do right now. Support shops too. So take it to the shops. That's what I would do.
I'm going to give a little shout out here. Some of the shops we like to go to. We like Performance. We like Save On, LA Fishing
Alliance,
Island, Bob